I'd like to welcome our viewers across North America and around the world. My name is Joe Ehizode. Welcome to Platform Media International Studios, PMI Sports. Opone Ayimabo is my usual guest, and Opone is here. Opone, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, we have the Canadian Football Federation, and there's been a lot of expectation given the position of Canada in sports. A lot of expectation for the country to do well in soccer. And as it is, Canada is not showing its muscle in actually with soccer. And the last time Canada was in World Cup was, I suppose, was in in the 90s. I don't particularly remember the year now. Maybe you remember.
In the 90s?
In the 90s. And Canada has not been to the World Cup. And I was talking to some people along on the streets. There's a developmental system structured to develop youths, but it dies off along the way. Opone, having played soccer in Nigeria and Malaysia before you retired, what do you think that Canada should do for them to come up in global soccer?
Thank you for having me. I've had this discussion with some colleagues too. And the mentality in most of the people in Canada is that, I'll use BC for example, and the Whitecaps. I was talking to some colleagues, and I say, why is it that Whitecaps doesn't have any local player in the Whitecaps team? They say they're not good enough, And my question is, how do you know they are not good enough? Now, last year in the Neutralite Cup, Canada played the semi-finals against a team from the 4th team that plays in the USL. And they were lucky to get a draw here. They used the second team. When they went over the other side, they used their first team, and they were lucky to even win on that side. When I went back to my colleagues and I asked them, that's a USL team, same level like local players here in BC. They almost beat Whitecaps. So what do you guys got to say now? It's different. I said, no, it's not different. It is easier for a player from Vancouver here to play for Arsenal or Manchester United than for a player from Vancouver here to play for the Whitecaps.
Opone, you see, having followed soccer for a long time, coaches are hired to produce results. I guess coaches are scared because of the quick fix system they have here. Produce results immediately or you're fired. Coaches are scared to use untested player for competitive matches because if they fail, they're going to be fired. Why should a coach use an untested player for a competitive match when he doesn't know the level of that player?
That's not what I'm saying. No. You know why Whitecaps, they almost fell out of the playoff last season?
No.
Because they didn't have a good bench. Now, these same players, I tell you, they have young players that are brought from outside, right? They have young players brought from outside. But what happened is, when most of the first team players were kind of a little tired, they brought in their reserve players. Those players couldn't cope up. If you remember once, they lost about 5 straight because the bench couldn't produce. The level of those people they brought from outside and the level of the people that are in Vancouver here, I don't see any difference. I've been in Vancouver for the past over a decade now. I've played before I stopped. I played different competitions. There's a lot of talent here. If you don't encourage talents here, how do you know they're not good enough? Like my prediction, what I was planning, what I say, my idea about Canada plays 4 teams, 2 semifinals, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, and the other team, the 4th team from.
I think from Ottawa.
No, not Ottawa, not Ottawa. The 4th team. I'll get the name for you later. Now, those 4 teams, they play semifinals and they play finals. That's what they do. I say, why just 4 teams? Let it be like a Challenge Cup, FA Cup. Every province bring its champion. In Vancouver, here we have Whitecaps. We let the local teams play amongst themselves. The champion of the local teams play against Whitecaps in the finals. If the competition is a little stiffer or better, the following year, Whitecaps have to play for the semifinals. What that does, it gives for people to see the local players.
I'm very sorry to say this. I hope viewers will not accuse me of being sexist. It seems to be that soccer is very much encouraged amongst the women here than the male, because Canada is happy to have a female team in the Olympics, and after that it's done. I've never seen a male Canadian team in the Olympics, or I can't even remember when last they were in the World Cup. Even here, locally here, I go to Surrey Newton Athletic Park. I see how things are structured. They should organize grassroots soccer so that the new ones will pop up and take over the reins of those people who are fading out. As it is, soccer or sports at that level ends up in the high school, and after that, I don't see any competition. The only competition now, 4 teams in Canada. Canada, we can travel 9 hours. It's as big as that. Fly for 9 hours, and we have 4 or 5 time zones, right? But we have only 4 competitive teams that is competing in MLS. And Canada does not have a recognizable local championship that people will contest. A great Canadian Cup, that does not even rate anywhere at all. So in a system like that, it's difficult for local players to come up.
Yeah, it's difficult. Let me go back. Let me regress a bit about the female side. I don't think I totally agree with you when you say only the female side that they put more emphasis on the female side. No. Male soccer have been on before female soccer in Canada. But because of lack of progress from the male side, when the female started, they are developing faster than the male. That's why I say more emphasis is being placed on the female side. Now, if we talk about the male side, I was talking about the 4th team in Canada is Edmonton. They play in USL, that's the US League. Now, but all these things can be done. If you take the champions of each province, they can play like a USL, Canadian League.
That's what we're saying. There's no competition.
They can play like a USL.
There's no serious competition in Canada.
Now, the idea of playing having a Canadian League is to see more players come up. So most of the other 3 teams can pick from those teams. You can see more Canadian players come up. Now, they brought, Vancouver have their reserve, almost all Canadian reserves are from the States. There is nobody from Whitecaps reserve player that is from BC here.
Okay.
So are you telling me there is not even one good player in Vancouver?
And BC is bigger than some countries in Africa. And you just have one competitive team in MLS, which is Whitecaps.
We don't even have a player from BC in Whitecaps.
See that? It's that bad. I hope those who are listening, Obone, despite the fact that there's organization at the grassroots, but Canada have to take it up and take it.
You got to step up to the next level.
Without that, remember in 1994 World Cup, USA that was when this revival came up in the USA, and it's not by accident that international players that are retiring are taken to the US. What is that supposed to mean? It's to generate interest and for people to like soccer. But I can't remember when last a superstar came up to Vancouver to play for Whitecaps.
Let me remind you, it's not that Canada don't have players playing outside or in different parts of the world, no. But the problem is, they have players outside in the major league in Europe, but they play second fiddle to other players. That is the problem. They don't really play in their clubs. They have players all over, but they don't play in their clubs. Okay? It's better you have players that are playing so you can assess them, rather than have players that are not playing and sit in bigger clubs and just not doing nothing there. It does not help development in football or soccer in your country.
Well, opponent, we're talking from outside. I guess one day we'll bring one of the coaches, perhaps the coach of or the director of football of Whitecaps, Melanduzi, to the studio so that we'll have to ask him questions. Perhaps he will have more informed knowledge about how soccer is supposed to be organized in Canada than us. And I guess viewers will be interested in how we put that across. Viewers, I promise you that we have to bring a very, very important soccer administrator to the studio to talk to him. Opponent, thank you again. Here we are. Canada, I guess we are trying to push some buttons here. And let's see if Canada will do well in 2018 World Cup in Russia. With that,
they will make it.
With that, we end today's program. And opponent, thank you for coming to the program. And with that, viewers, I will see you next week. Have a good night.